It's Power Query Challenge time. Okay, this came up recently in a forum. What we have is a group of people, one row, being booked by the organizer, and then the members, member 1, member 2, and member 3, their data is laid out like this. Then the next group is another row, okay? And you can maybe have 3 or 4 members, or maybe only 2 members, or whatever. So the number of members might change. Ultimately, you want to get the data into this format. So, if you want to have a go yourself before watching my solution, you can download this file. The link is in the description below. Otherwise, I'm just going to show you how I solved it. All right, let's go. Okay, there's a couple of challenges here. The main one being that this column name identifier, it was sort of consistent, but there was no real way of splitting the column names and things. And I'm always thinking the same thing in different columns, you need to unpivot. So let's take a look how I solve this. So right click, get data from table/range. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add a simple sort of record number and then unpivot based on that. So I'm going to go add column, index column. Okay, there it is. I'll just rename it up here to save adding another step. So let's just call this group ID. Each row is a different group of people. Okay, so that'll do. And then I'm going to right click on group ID, unpivot other columns. Right. Then, what I would normally do is if this was some usable pattern, I'd try to break out name, date of birth, email, name, date of birth, email, but there's nothing easy that I can use here. Like I can't do capital letter to lowercase, I can't do number because there's no number here, so it's a bit awkward. So I'm going to rely on the fact that it's a numerical pattern. It's always 3 items, name, date of birth, email, okay, 3 items repeating. So I'm going to use that as my sort of proxy header, if you like. I can always rename that header right at the end. So I'm going to add another index column. And I've done videos on this before. I want to use modulo to actually break this numerical sequence into running groups of 3. So with that index column selected, I go to transform and then over to standard and modulo. And I'm going to use modulo 3. Okay, 3. And this now goes record 0, 1, 2 for the first person, record 0, 1, 2. So this is really name, date of birth, email. Name, date of birth, email. Now I could do a find and replace, 0 with name, 1 with date of birth. I could do that, but I'll actually do it at the end. So I don't really need this attribute column anymore, so I'm going to remove that. Right, so it almost feels like I'm there, and this is where pivoting comes in. I want to pivot that data back based on these columns. It's never as easy as this though. And again, I've done little videos on this before, but this might be the first time you're seeing this. So watch what happens. I want to go to the index column and I want to pivot this. And I want to pivot and I want to keep the value and I don't want to sum it or count it. I just want to don't aggregate it. And I click OK. Oh, and you get these errors. All right, and the reason it is, it says down here, there were too many elements. You're getting lists. So what does that really mean? Well, if I delete that step. So what we're saying is, look, Alan, or index 0 and group ID 0 is going to be Alan. Index 0 and group ID 0 is also going to be Amy. So there's not enough differentiator. Same again, 0 and 0. So it's going to create a list of those 3 or 4 things, and that can't happen. Okay, it's got to be a single record. So I need some sort of unique identifier based on this sort of grouping. I'm just going to rename this as well as something like header ID, just so it's a bit more meaningful. What I want to do is I want to here right click group by, okay, on the header ID, call it data, go all rows, click OK. So now we've got all these with the header ID and the group ID, but I need the sequence. So I'm going to go to the add column. And this is quite, this isn't intuitive, but hopefully once you've seen it, it's a pattern that I use over and over again now. So I'm going to go add custom column, index. Okay, there we go. Table, add index column, open the bracket, double click on data, which is basically the name of this column here that you called it. The new column is going to be called something like sequence, starting at a 1, going up in increments of 1, all good, click OK. So now in this table, we've now got the nice sequence. So every sort of record is now got a unique separate identifier. Then I can right click and remove other columns. I can expand this out. And here we go. We can now use this header ID, transform pivot column, using the value, which is this column, into the values, and don't aggregate. Click OK. And now because we had those different identifiers, it can split them out. See the sequence here? It's not trying to combine Alan, Amy, Alex, and Abby all into one list, which is great. Okay, so here we're pretty much done. We could get rid of these two, don't really need them. Okay, and then we could just rename these columns. Name, DOB, email. I'll just hold down Shift and select all of them, or Control A, detect data type, text, date time, I just need date. Replace the current. And we're good to go. Close and load. Happy days. Okay, so let me just call this demo, home, close and load 2. I'll just throw it over here. This is the one I prepared earlier. To a table in an existing worksheet just here. Click OK. And we're all good. Beautiful. And then if we add another record, so let me grab this one. Okay, I'll just move this up. Drop it at the bottom of this table. So the table just got bigger, and in theory, if I now right-click refresh, there's Emma, Edward, Eileen, and Eric. All right, hope you find that useful. Let me know what you think. Did you have a different solution? Check out the description. There's a little email address will be in there if you want to send your different solution in. Feel free. I'll take a look. All right, hope you enjoy. Catch you in the next video. Before you go, check out one of my other videos or playlists and click the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.